hello, welcome, thank you. Really. When I have the chance to talk with all of you, this is what I do. I really say, what if this is the last chance I'll ever see any of you? What if this is the last chance we come together and this is the last time I'll have to say anything to you? Then what is it that might be beneficial? That would be nice. But what is it that I would care to say if this was the last thing I was ever going to be able to say to you? And so this is a little something that was shared between Dr. Crow and I maybe 5 years ago. And he loved it, and he shared it, and he let me know, and then I hid it away, and I've never shared it with anyone else. And I'm going to try to share it with you tonight. Do you guys know the children's story, Howard or Harold's Horrible, Terrible, Very Bad, No Good Day? Alexander. I loved that as a kid. For reasons that will become obvious, I don't want to say no good. I don't want to say no good. But last night, I had a terrible, awful, very bad evening. And so I stand before you here trying to find out how to share with you what is perhaps one of the most important things that I could share with anyone, and honestly feeling wholly inadequate to the task that I want to share in with you. So I would ask, please, to the degree you can, to the degree you like, to the degree you will, just be a little gracious with me. Let's work this out together if we can. So in the beginning, you see this image? Just to clear some space. This is an invitation for us to cross the threshold into sacred space, into sacred presence. What would that mean? We're going to be exploring that. We're going to be elaborating on that. What would that mean? Where is the threshold? How do we cross in any moment into some kind of sacred space or sacred presence? I think Rand has elaborated a bit on the labyrinth. How do we come to be in the center of the labyrinth? And would it be possible, almost moment by moment, breath by breath, to enter into the center of the labyrinth and then to be given back out of it? To come into the center and to be released or given as a gift out of the center of the labyrinth, moment by moment by moment, sacred space. So what I want to say is that whatever else the sacred may be, it needs to be unconditionally good. That's a lot to say. What I have to say may be merely my own personal testimony. Hopefully it will be at least, but not merely, my own personal testimony. What I want to share with you is that what is sacred must be, no matter what else it is, it must be unconditionally good. And what would it mean to live in relationship with something that was unconditionally good? What would it mean to live our lives in a way that serves and celebrates, that embodies and expresses the sacred depths of something unconditionally good? I want to start from where we are, and I want to build to that. I think where we are is at the reunion with the theme, walking the path together. And Rand has teed up playing an infinite game. And playing an infinite game is a game that you play for the love of it, which establishes your life in the midst of something more meaningful than merely winning or losing. Where winning or losing still matters, and yet your life is grounded in something more meaningful than merely winning or losing. If you're in for that, and I hope you are, I'd like to invite you to take 2 further steps into the possibility that the deepest potential in an infinite game is only brought to life when that infinite game is committed to service. And that the deepest potential in service is only brought to life when it's grounded in sacred depths, in something unconditionally good. So that, in a sense, is our build. I want to go back to service, move into sacred depths, unconditionally good. Because what is service? We were talking about all day today, earlier, a small group of us. Whatever that is, if you find it and if you commit yourself to it, it will be your deepest satisfaction. Because as St. Irenaeus said, the place that God has called you to is the place where your deep gladness feeds the world's deep hunger. How could that not be deeply satisfying? Are you kidding me? My deep gladness feeds the world's deep hunger. Your deep gladness feeds the world's deep hunger. That kind of service. The kind of service that E.B. White was talking about when he said, my two highest aims in life, Haley Rushing had an amazing bit she shared with us years ago on this, my two highest aims in life are to save the world and to savor it. And I think all of us here care about saving the world. The question is, to what degree do we care about savoring it? That's just a question to wonder into a bit together. And why would savoring the world be important to saving the world? He said, why would you even want to save the world if it wasn't worth savoring? And if it's worth savoring, then why aren't we? And if the world is worth saving because it's worth savoring, and we do that, then he really felt that that creates wisdom, compassion, courage, guidance, meaningful action to save the world. But the action, and we say to benefit and beautify, the action that benefits the world must come from savoring its beauty. That, in a way, is just like pretty incredible that we could try to do that with our lives, that we could share that together, that that could be a path that we walk together. I think that that's extraordinary. But sacred depths are more than even just that, because sacred depths have to be unconditionally good. And that, to say that, unconditionally good, how many times have I said that already? And I tell you truly, it's so easy to say, unconditionally good. But what that is intended to communicate, to draw our attention to, is a weight of glory that is more than any of us can bear. I've never met anyone that can bear the full weight of glory of what is unconditionally good. So to try to make this personal for a moment, because this was so personal for me, this was the most important question that I wanted to devote my whole life to for the first 25 to 30 years of my life. I won't know if I'll pronounce his name well. It's Dostoevsky, right? Yes. So he read in the newspaper and he talked about, this is dark for a second, but unconditionally good needs to be tempered with some realism. He read in the newspaper and then he talked about parents who got tired of their child making noise, so they locked them out of the house in the dead of winter, and the child screamed and pleaded all night and then was silent by the morning because they froze to death that evening. They were dead by the morning. So Dostoevsky says, how could the entire world ever atone for the anguished cries of a single innocent child? I don't even care if that's philosophically relevant. I am just tremendously moved that somebody would care about even a single innocent child in that way. And as a very young kid, I heard a news story that somewhere there's a place in the world where every so often there's a generation of baby owls that are born. They hatch. They're hungry, they starve, and then they die. And I thought, how can you call a life like that good? I didn't know how to call anything about that life good. Can any of us say that there's something good about the lives of those baby owls who just have to hatch and be hungry and starve and die? And there are people all over who have lives just like that. We live in a world that includes so much of that. And that question was so important to me, because if I didn't know how to say that there was something good about the lives of those baby owls, I didn't know how to say that there was anything good about my life. And I desperately wanted to be able to say that there was something good about my life. I found myself in the evening, in the woods, in pain, scared, confused, desperate, losing hope, feeling really like I'm going to lose my life. Someone's going to come and take my life. And there are worse things that can happen than dying. What if those things happen? What if those things happen again? And I thought, I didn't want to die. I wanted to live. And it came to me like, maybe. I'm just, like I said, you'll see, I'm 5 or 6. Maybe if I can just live until I'm 18, I'll have somehow earned the right. How does life work anyway? I'll have earned the right. I'll be able to leave, and I'll be safe, and I'll create a life that's worth living. Can I hold on that long? I didn't know. And I thought, how do I find out if I can hold on that long? And I thought, what if I have a year for every finger? And I ran out of fingers. And so I had to sit there really feeling like, I'm not going to make it. Now, of course, there but for the grace of God go I, and through your grace, I continue to live today. This is not an apology for suffering, and this is not an attempt to create guilt or shame in any of us. This, I don't have a better word for it, this is like a question of deep dignity. This is a question about if there's something good that is so good that no matter how broken and how violated you are, no one and nothing can ever take it away. Is there anything like that at all? That was my question, and I didn't know. I believe if you are audacious enough to want to know if there's anything good like that in life, you begin by being humble enough to say, I don't know how to answer that question. I might hope there is, but I don't know if there is. I want to find out. So then that leads me into, and if that beginning was an invitation for all of us to try to discover whether there is anything good like that in life, here's what might be the challenge part. There's a hope part. The hope part is if you accept the challenge of the invitation, honestly, the blessing your life will become. So how would you discover if there is anything unconditionally good? And if you think you can say yes to that already, is there anything you could do to assess the quality of your communion with that unconditional goodness? And I think there is, except for it's not something that you do, in a sense. It's something you can only allow. You can invite, you can allow, you can welcome, and it's rest. It is the simplest and most challenging thing imaginable, probably more than imaginable. Just allow yourself to come to rest. Because, of course, right, you see how this works. If it's unconditionally good, it was not created through your effort. You didn't build it. That doesn't mean you can't build things. That doesn't mean you can't build amazing things or that you shouldn't. Of course you should. The question is, what is the source of your activity? Where does it come from? What is it rooted in? Right? If it's unconditionally good, you find that beyond your effort, beyond what you try to do, beyond what you can achieve, beyond what you can accomplish, beyond anything you can intend, beyond any of your volitions. So, I apologize, just to be fussy for a second. This also means if you have found this, you literally will not need any meditation or prayer apps. And if you have not found this, there is no meditation or prayer app that will bring you into this place. You don't have to be interested in this place. All the meditation and prayer apps are wonderful. Use them as you like. But this is the simplest and most challenging thing. Just allow yourself to come to rest. Because it's easy to say, my life is a miracle. My life is a blessing. How about you? Me too. Amazing. Hopefully people in this room can recognize the miracle and the blessing of their life. But, okay, just sit there and do what? Nothing. Just come to rest. Just recognize anything you're consciously doing, and then just gently invite yourself to relax from doing anything consciously. Trust me, the world doesn't just vanish. Only your personal efforting releases itself It comes to rest. Now, in the biblical tradition, just to be clear, this is God's rest. And if you allow yourself to come to rest, you may be taken up into God's rest. And that is the rest that can actually look and see and say, it is good. It is unconditionally good. No matter what happens, and there are terrible things that happen. There are terrible things that happen and that should not happen. But even when those things happen, there is something good that we can serve, that we can celebrate, that we can embody, that we can express, no matter what is happening. Something unconditionally good like that. But if we're honest, and please, let's be honest, right? When we allow ourselves to come to rest, and there can be humor in this, if we're not too caught up in it, you will have a revelation. It will be profound and it will be personal. And it is the revelation of the way you accept or deny the unconditional goodness, the life of unconditional goodness that is here and now and always offering itself to you through grace gratuitously. And if we're honest, and if we can just laugh a little bit, we look at that life and we say, it's kind of boring. Something going to happen? Something interesting? I hope so. Definitely getting irritated. This is, I can't tell if this is stupid or senseless. Which one? I don't know, God, can I move? I'm not moving. How long is this going to go on? Right? Like, this is, and in a sense, this all just gets summarized as the restlessness of the human heart. We find our own restlessness if we just invite, allow, and welcome the simple and profound rest. So the first trick, and because I've seen people who have gone into months of actually just sitting still and silent, upwards of 15 hours a day, every day, for months. Some people do this for years. The thing that really helps people move through this is if they've learned to come to rest within the restlessness of their own heart and mind. That's amazing. You don't have to get rid of the restlessness of your heart and mind. When you come to rest, you discover that. And if you learn to come to rest in that, there is something there, unconditionally good, offering itself to you. And as you begin to receive that, there is an immense shout of joy. And then everything you do, see, if you just come to rest and you look out at life and you say, oh, it's good, it is good, then everything you do will be from that place. But most of us, and this is what we have to confront, all of us to some degree or another, we look and we say, this is a fixer-upper. Some of us are like, this is a complete shit show. This is an unmitigated disaster. Luckily, I'm here, and through my effort, I can make it good. And actually, a lot of you, like most of us, maybe all of us, are tremendously successful and accomplished, so you actually can make it good. But that's part of the problem. So we get addicted to the way that we make something that is not good, good. And we don't want to release, because of course you get the benefit, you get the joy of sitting in the joy that you have created. And that is a good. That is a created good, and you should enjoy it. But until you can release all of our created joys and come to rest and confront the profound and simple unconditional goodness being offered to us now and always, we won't know what it's like to enjoy unconditional goodness. And so the invitation, the challenge, and the hope is that we could find this, and as leaders, this could be the source of the way we participate in the world. This is why it's serve and celebrate, embody and express. This will not make you numb or indifferent to suffering. This will make you more responsive to suffering. And this will show you that there is an endless elaboration and maturation of celebration. So it does both and more, but I'm out of time.